but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, Lord, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I must stand. For a new heaven, a new earth, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I feel the Spirit calling me, drawing me back home. Oh, there's something with my family. I know it won't be long when they are gonna look for me and I'll be gone home. Yeah, Israel is calling us back home to Zion. I'm on my knees. I lay down my life. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Let my feet guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. Shalom, brothers and sisters. We're the elders of the Gathering of Christ Church. I'm Elder Rikar Shiar. Shabbat Shalom. Along here with Elder Lawyer. And our lesson, and I don't think it's any coincidence, the irony of this particular lesson being done on Halloween, or what the ancient Celtics coined Simhain or Samhain. I don't think it's a coincidence that on this particular day, that through the Spirit of the Most High, He have placed on our hearts to actually break down Jezebel, the woman from hell. Because what's going on in Babylon right now, Babylon in its inception meant confusion. And brothers and sisters, we as a people have been attacked from every angle without realizing what exactly and who exactly is attacking us. That's this ball of confusion that we were born into under Babylon, coming at us from all fronts. We have Christian deception and lies that have attacked us from our youth. Islam, the Arabs come in, attacking us from our youth. We have the East Indians who are Cushites. Ancient Babylonians came in and are attacking us from our youth. We're getting attacked every which way. We have men who have come in and have gained status, who continually to attack us from our youth. We also have women who are systematically, strategically placed in position to deceive and destroy us, but none of us in the Bible can identify that particular spirit. Why? Because automatically, if you begin to highlight that spirit that the Bible say that the prophets must identify, automatically a gate goes up, a wall goes up. It becomes defensive, and before you know it, she gets away. Right? So the whole thing is, the Bible gives us a key understanding, brothers and sisters, on how to identify this destructive spirit of Jezebel. She's very cunning. She's very deceptive, and she's quite calculating. So if we're going to go into Halloween, we're going to start it off with Halloween, but it's no coincidence we will identify Jezebel and how to actually do what? Defeat that spirit. Jezebel, the woman from hell. Now I'm going in, but I need you all, before we start, make sure you hit the like button, okay? This way it'll drive more traffic here so others can hear what the Most High have through the church, through the Gathering of Christ Church this Sabbath morning. Folks, and the reason why I have to go into this, not mainly today for the men or the young men. I'm more so going into this for the sisters. Why? Because sisters have been saying, Elder Lawyer, over and over again, stating, it's not all of us. Right? And you're correct. Like the activity that's usually highlighted that men are complaining about, it's not all women. But the whole thing is they've found a way to morph themselves amongst the women and have the good women take the backlash for their activity. It's like hitting someone and hiding their hands. So our sisters are left defenseless without realizing or understanding how to separate themselves from that spirit. And if you can do so, no longer would you need to now, when they are identified, go on the defense and say it's not all us, because we're teaching you how to defend yourself against her, to separate yourself from her. But one cannot do this without identifying this spirit according to the Bible. The Bible identifies her. And this way, if we go into it, no one out there, man, woman, or otherwise, can take the lesson, or a person actually expounding this truth. You cannot take it personally and put it on that person. Okay? We're going into Jezebel according to God. How do you identify her? What are some of her tactics? Who is she aligned with? What spirit is she aligned with? And what is her key objective? You can identify Jezebel by her key objective. And we're going to go into what her objectives are. This way, when you see a woman dealing in that area, sister, you can identify that spirit. And here's the most, I would say, confusing part of this. Not the confusing part, but the more, make sure that don't time out. Put that so it don't time out into the timer. Go into the screen settings and take that off. And let them do it. The key part about this is a sister can be operating in the spirit of Jezebel and not know it. See? She can be doing it, and because it's taught normal in this system of confusion in Babylon, and under Babylon, it's accepted to a degree. She can be raised to be in the spirit of Jezebel and not identify that spirit. And eventually, if she don't identify it, it destroys her. It leaves her alone, destitute, without help, so that demon that have taken her from her youth can now drag her to hell. That's the spirit of Jezebel and how important it is that we identify it. Okay? She has many characters and many emotions, but her whole tactic is to get away so that she can harm other sisters and align sisters with her objective. What is her objective? We are about to go into it. We are about to go into it. But before we do that, make sure you hit the like button. We're going to jump right in. Elder Lawyer, do us a favor and let's start off with the Lord's. Let's do our Shemai for the Sabbath.
Yes, sir. Shemai Yasha'Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
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 Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Let's go. You did it? Okay. Jezebel. The spirit from hell. Look at your screen. And it's ironic that we're going into this on Halloween. Why? Because Jezebel comes, one of her spirits that drives a woman who's in the spirit of Jezebel is succubus. And we're going to go into it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just let it go. Yeah. Succubus. Listen to me clearly, brothers and sisters. Succubus. And listen, this is Halloween. We going into it. Succubus, when it enters a woman, gives her an alter ego. She has a different personality that she cleaves to, and it becomes the norm for her. Every day she wear a mask. Every day she wear a uniform. She don't even realize the spirit that is urging her to cover her true beauty every day. And it attacks her. It attacks her brain. It takes over her. And she feels empty without the alter ego. Remember years ago when Beyonce did an interview and she talked about Sasha Fierce? How when she go get her makeup and put all her stuff on, another character comes to life and she just takes over? An alter ego. We here on Halloween, the mass. And every day is the alter ego where the woman who's taken over by Jezebel, she can no longer accept who God made her. And she becomes what? A tool against men. Listen to what we're going to break out. But before we do it, let's first go into Halloween. Because you're going to find the lesson on Jezebel and Halloween is a match made for hell. In hell. Look at your screens. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Me too.
To call these great and telling tales because they are. We like to call these great and telling tales because they are. Halloween is a festival of the dying year. It is the evening before All Saints' Day, 1st of November. As the land begins to die, brown replaces green, the dead leaves blow off the trees, the crops are gathered in, or you're definitely out of luck. The creatures of the earth and the stone, the rabble of spirits, rise out of the dying earth to make their presence felt. They have been kept down by the blossoming land of the previous months. Now it is the time for those who have been taken away to reassert their presence.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Samhain. The date between October 31st and November 1st, where the gates of hell is open and the dead rises to haunt humanity. Oh, you thought it was about just getting some candy toys and making things up and just having fun. It's a ritual where the Satanists, the priests, the so-called Freemasons and others, the Catholic Church and others, sacrifice to devils wearing masks. All right. Here we go, folks. And see, I'm segueing from our Wednesday's program. When what?
The water.
When Ice Cube was ridiculed for bringing a plan for black people. By who? By these women wearing masks. Now, what we can't identify, what they don't know, and I don't believe they even know it, that they're being used through their spirit after being overcome by the spirit of Jezebel. They were raised from their youth to attack a man when a man would come into position of profit to lead or to help his people. And no one could identify that spirit. You think it's about politics. Well, no, they were raised to do this. Okay? And how do you know this? Because I'm not going to play this. I don't have to. Let's go into the Bible to identify the spirit of Jezebel. And sisters, separate yourself from her. She need you. Her position as Jezebel, her key objective, write this down. She orchestrates heresy against the men of God by recruiting others, mainly women. But at the end of it, she uses women to capture men, and men become their pawns, infantry, to carry out her war against us. Satan knew at the very end that the children of God, men, priests, would arise to oppose this system. They knew this. So they had to make sure they would have a system in place in which they would raise Jezebels from their youth to oppose powerful men. These Jezebels are slick, folks, but many cannot identify them. Why? Because she's not taught. You're not taught about her in the churches. When the original churches would warn us of the spirit of Jezebel. So let's go. Who is Jezebel? Elder Lawyer, let's go to 1 Kings 16. And what we're going to do at the end of this, we're going to open up the lines. 515-605-9327. Now, if you come in early, if you try to dial in early, you will not be able to get in, even though the number's there, because I purposely held things off so that you can focus on the lesson. And I'll dial in and allow you to come in to state your understanding or whatever the case is on this lesson at 2 p.m. You will not be able to call in to this number until 2 p.m. when I pause it and open up the phone line. Now, the challenging part of this lesson, brothers and sisters, is the fact that not only were we born under sin as men and sold under sin and were raised to do things wrong, because we were, and that's why Christ said, repent at times past. The disciple says he's winked at our ignorance, but now commandeth everyone to change, to repent. Well, guess what? Men grew up sold under sin. So has women. But it hasn't. But the whole thing, the man's sin has always been magnified and put out in front to a degree in which we're used to people talking about the negative we bring. And it's okay. It's okay to talk about that. We're used to men ain't no good, men are dogs, men are this, men are gay, men are this, that, and the other, down low. We're used to it to the point where it's normal for men to hear the criticism concerning themselves. Men have destroyed our community. They have walked away. They have done this, done that. Yes. But what has been ignored is also the destructive behavior that comes through Jezebel, because she's not identified. And I believe it's on purpose that the system protects the spirit of Jezebel. And the sad thing about it is a lot of our women protects her. They protect her. They protect her. So we're going to identify what is that spirit to where all women protect each other. Even if you know a woman is doing wrong. You haven't identified it before. What is this thing where everyone, there's a matriarchy that can get together and speak about men and no one will defend a man? What is that spirit? Let's read. Who is Jezebel? 1 Kings, the 18th chapter, brothers and sisters. 1 Kings 18. Elder Lawyer, I need you to first go to 1 Kings 16 and 18. So, the 18th chapter and the 16th chapter, both.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to start at the 16th chapter and the 29th verse.
Yes, sir. 1 Kings chapter 16, verse number 29. And in the 30th or 38th year of King Asa, king of Judah, began Ahab the son of Omri to reign over Israel.
To reign over Israel, which is what? The northern kingdom. Now the kingdom was split through Solomon's sin. Now we know the 10 tribes, a lot of them came over to the Americas and others and were scattered. But still, there was some presence of Israel. We're talking about before the split. This is what happened. Before they traveled to the Americas, what was going on in these kingdoms? Let's read it.
And Ahab the son of Omri reigned over Israel in Samaria 22 years.
Come on.
And Ahab the son of Omri did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him.
Come on.
And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. And he reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria.
A temple to worship Satan, Baal. So he married the women our God warned us of or about. These women worshiped Satan. Okay. This is a princess, powerful. Jezebel, a lot of you don't know about her. So what we do is, and I hear this all the time, even sisters who are Hebrews and Israelites would try to separate themselves from Jezebel, claiming she was of another nation. But what you are actually ignoring is that Jezebel has a spirit. And her spirit is what has infected our sisters. So it has nothing to do with what race Jezebel comes from. It's her objectives. To orchestrate a campaign to hate men and to go against prophets is her spirit. And she was married to an Israelite. And guess what? This Israelite king went off, built temples to Baal. Now, if I was to give an example of that today, like today we have the Prince Hall Freemasons. The men are running things, right? But they have women. Their wives are named Eastern Stars. See? They both are working under evil together. So we cannot just talk about Jezebel without first showing the fact that she would align herself with power to get the resources for her plan to destroy the prophets. Let's go. What verse are you at, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Leading off at verse 32, where it says, And he reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. And Ahab made a grove, and Ahab did more to provoke the Lord, God of Israel, to anger than all the kings of Israel that were before him. In his days did Hiel the Bethlehemite build Jericho. He laid the foundation thereof in Ibarim, his firstborn, and set up the gates thereof in his youngest son Segub, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by Joshua the son of Nun.
Now let's go to 1 Kings 18:1, identifying so we know she first married into the tribes of Israel, the northern kingdom. But she came with an objective, with a plan from Baal to destroy the prophets who would oppose Satan's systems on earth. The only men who could oppose the power of Satan was Israelite men, the prophets of old. So she came in with the full, with the full intentions on using the power, finances, and influences of her kingdom to destroy the black men. Let's go. Let's go to 1 Kings 18 and 1. Read it.
Yes, sir. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 1. And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, Go show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Elijah went to show himself unto Ahab, and there was a sore famine in Samaria. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. For it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord.
She did what?
For it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord.
When Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Almighty, read.
That Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave.
Look at that. 100 prophets had to go in hiding from this woman. Read.
And fed them with bread and water.
Look at that. She was so calculating and meticulous, brothers and sisters, that the prophets had to hide themselves. She was slaying God's men. We're talking about feminism on steroids. So in order for them to articulate and make this spirit in our modern time, they had to push feminism amongst our sisters, empowerment amongst them, knowing at the very end that the prophets would arise again once the Most High wake us from sleep. We would have an enemy to fight in our own homes. And the reality of it is, the majority of it was unknowingly. These women were raised not realizing that this ideology is Jezebel, was Jezebel. Let's go to the 13th verse.
Yes, sir. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse number 13.
Yes.
Was it not told, my Lord, what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord? How I did 100 men, or I hid 100 men of the Lord, of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water.
Go ahead.
And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he shall slay me. And Elijah said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today.
Read.
So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. And it came to pass when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, Art thou he that troubleth Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father, or father's house, and that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Baalim.
Thou hast followed Baalim. Read on.
Verse 19. Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table.
Which eat at Jezebel's table, folks. Imagine having the coffers or the financial bank of a country aligned at destroying the black men who were born to free God's people. So you sit at her table, she'll give you everything. Just get rid of these men who were born to take my power in the earth. Look at this, brothers and sisters. So the Most High had to say, listen, a judgment is coming to Jezebel in the men who agree with her. Now, mind you, she had all the attributes of a comely woman. Even reasons that she can articulate or philosophize to why she was doing such heinous crimes against God's prophets. She had the personality to be able to calm herself and seem feminine and happy at certain times or sad at certain times, depending on when she needed to use such emotions. But her objective was always, at the end of it, slay them, kill him. So you cannot actually just fall for her initial reasons to why she thinks so, or why she's acting out at this particular time and all that. Because no, it's more about her end game objective. That's what you have to figure out. You cannot know this unless you first understand her spirit according to the Bible. Jezebel, the prophet killer, the woman from hell, the spirit that hates men, is Jezebel. An example, when she's identified, automatically she'll switch the topic to take the lenses off of her. You start identifying the spirit of Jezebel, and she'll immediately react with a Jedi mind trick. What about men? If I can get them to talk about men, I can escape. I can scurry out of the way. Well, what about men? Well, I was abused. I was this. I was that. And you'll never be able to pin her down to a degree in which she can look in the mirror and see Jezebel and rid herself of that evil. Are you following me? Why does she immediately respond without even thinking? What about men? Why? When the initial light was on her. See? What about those men? Kill them. I'm at Jezebel's table. I don't have to change. I was made this way by you evil prophets, by you evil teachers. You've abused me. You this, you're that. And all the time while she's focusing on how bad he is, Jezebel is saying, that's right, girl, get him. I'm safe now. I'm safe. Listen to this. I need you, Elder Lawyer. Where did you leave off at there?
1 Kings 18, verse number 19.
Okay. Read the 19th verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 19. Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table.
Which eat at Jezebel's table. So the Most High knew that if he didn't stop this woman, that eventually, with all her finances and influence, that she would find a way to kill them all, kill all the prophets. Just imagine that, folks. Just imagine that. It's like somebody coming together in America right now and looking to demonize all Israelites and sitting back and saying, well, all Israelites are evil. They all need to be arrested or killed and all these things. Right? Because there are men that's operating in the spirit of Jezebel, like the apologetics. Where you'll make Israelites or the prophets or the teachers in this earth the bad guys. And we're the children, we're the people that have been brought over here in captivity, slavery, have built this whole country for you. The synagogue of Satan, who you're from, has always controlled and destroyed our men, women, and children. But now at the very end, it's Israelites. Israelites are the problem. The rape, robbery, and murder we have witnessed, still witnessing from the Catholic Church, from Americans in the Western world's inception. But yet Israelites are the problem? No. You know why Israelites are the problem? Jezebel. The spirit of it. Because that's who they'll use. They'll bring a sister on to speak. I was once an Israelite. And it was bad. It was. And you look at these women. Nothing has actually. They look fine. They're showing instance where sister passed and make everyone believe, oh yeah, the Israelites are the worst thing for women. That's Jezebel. That's the spirit of Jezebel. Kill those prophets. Stop this truth. So, The Most High came with a plan for Jezebel and those who aligned themselves. Because you notice, Elder Lawyer, it wasn't just speaking of Jezebel. It was speaking of those that were at the table with her. Men who would carry out her objectives. Like the apologetics, like the actor Vocab Malone and others who are now highlighting Israelites. See? Because it's the same objective. Kill the prophets. Demonize them. See? And all the men that go on those shows, they're at the table of Jezebel. Same thing. Slay the prophets. Let's slander them. Yeah, all of that, folks. Now, let's go to 1 Kings 21 now. Now, and keep in mind, in America and in the Western world, no one had the truth that could highlight and shine a light on the evil or the unseen hand that have always destroyed us until Israelites started teaching. You notice that? You notice that? Because even in the 60s, the movement was ambiguous. It was a strong movement, but it was still ambiguous. It was black people. It was colored people. No one could identify the characters of this war. Jacob and Esau. It wasn't until Israelites started pointing out who Esau was that the environment intensed. Especially in America, when it was like, even the synagogue of Satan, even jury started saying, well, we got to do something about these guys. They know. They have awakened. They know that we're the children of the devil. So imagine those of the synagogue of Satan with, you got it, they have a wealth of resources. The same as Jezebel had at that table to attack the prophets. Let's use our media. Let's use this. Let's use that. Because the Israelites are telling the truth, and our paid pawns in the Christian church are now become useless. They become useless. Notice that you didn't see people like Ice Cube and others coming out with all this power and coming out with a plan until they first understood who they were. And how important it is at this present time for self-preservation to implement a code according to God. It was Israelites for years on the corners when there was no cameras, on, telling our brothers and sisters, come back to the law. Some days I was on the street and guess what? It felt like my feet was frozen to the ground. Only thing I could have is some tea, a little soup, and I would go right back and again telling our people about the law. That was before YouTube and all that. Israelites held it down and have always held it down. And there was no truth in the earth until before that. I'm talking about before YouTube, folks. We were on the ground doing what? You got it. Implementing what you're seeing right now. And when you see Ice Cube and others speaking, folks, it's really attributed to those who held it down before all of this. Who are the children of Israel? Who are the true prophets of the Almighty? And that's when they ramped up their feminism. An enemy within to destroy God's people. So that we have to go through all these different layers before we're face to face really dealing with our enemies like we should. Well, we don't got to worry about them. The synagogue of Satan is our stating. They can't even overcome their woman. We're not getting opposition from ours. Jezebel. So the Most High plan is what? Let's go. 1 Kings 21 and 17.
Yes, sir. 1 Kings 21, verse 17.
Come on.
And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Arise, Go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth, whither he is gone down to possess it. And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Hast thou killed and also taken possession? And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, In the place where dogs lick the blood of Naboth, shall dogs lick thy blood, even thine. And Ahab said to Elijah, Hast thou found me, O mine enemy? And he answered, I have found thee, because thou hast sold thyself to work evil in the sight of the Lord. Behold, I will bring evil upon thee, and will take away thy posterity, and will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall.
Read.
And him that is shut up and left in Israel, and will make thine house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah, for the provocation wherewith thou hast provoked me to anger, and made Israel to sin. And of Jezebel also spake the Lord, saying, The dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel.
Read it again.
And of Jezebel spake also the Lord, saying, The dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel.
By the walls of Jezreel. Feed her to the dogs, was her very end. And this is why the Most High, this is why the powers that be, this is why they align the women to hate black men. Because the spirit of Jezebel still circumvents the earth to find whom she can actually align against us. Why? Yeah. Because, brothers and sisters, you got it. Our God destroyed her. When you look at the daughters of Ithbaal, you're speaking of a bloodline that was linked to Nephilim. And one thing about the Nephilim, because there was no plan for them in the beginning, not being written in the book of life, those spirits stay in the earth, looking to go from one person to the next. Well, Satan, under the Babylonian ideology, was able to take who Jezebel was and turn her into an ideology under the Greeks as a form of control. Today, it's called feminism. They was able to embody the spirit of this woman who was destroyed in the Old Testament and say, listen, she was effective. How effective? She was so effective that hundreds of prophets, over 100 prophets, had to go in hiding from her. So the Greeks and the Romans looked at this and say, you know what? We're going to turn the spirit of, we're going to study her. Because she was so effective against the prophets, we're going to study her and teach the Israelite woman how to be her. We will teach the Israelite woman how to be her, and therefore we can go on with other things. We won't have to worry about the prophets rising from the dust to oppose us. Because the killer of the prophets will be laying next to them. Brothers and sisters, it's an ideology. And unless we completely separate ourselves from that ideology, sisters, you will fall to the same depths as Jezebel. So it's not you in particular as a person. It was the ideology that was taught to you. It's the ideology. And you know what? We're going to show you some examples. What days she followed, what she uphold, what you got it, devices she used, even her body that she will utilize for an effective outcome. Kill the prophets. That's right. Hold tight. We're coming right back. And like I said, we're opening up the lines around and a little after 2 o'clock. A lot of you didn't say, whoa, we didn't know that this was that in depth in the Bible, right? Yes, this is why they don't want you to read it. It's an ideology. It's a possession. Our women were taken and programmed in the spirit of Jezebel against us. They just don't know it. They just been fighting against it. Why am I this way? I don't like the way I am. This, that, and the other. And I try to do right, but still I fall, and I don't know. Maybe it's how I was raised. No. All of that is true to some degree, but you have never been able to identify this spirit that would have you just for no reason not agree with a man. Hold tight. We're coming right back. Jezebel. One moment. One moment. We'll be right back. I use the restroom.
Bible. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your hope and the truth will make you free. Hebrew Bible Academy, you're invited.
All right. That's right. Hebrew and Bible Academy. We're going into a lesson, the promises of Abraham, tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. Elder Lawyer will be right back. We're going into part 2 of the lesson. And what I'm going to do, instead of just open up the lines at 2 o'clock, because I don't want to really take away from the spirit of this particular lesson, I'm going to go all the way through so that we can get the full content and understanding of this spirit that opposes our families, our nation first. And then later, I'll open up the line. So don't worry about it. The lines will be open, but don't go to your phone calls, your phones as of yet. Don't worry about that. I'll let you know when the lines are open so that I can really hit this home. Because guess what? It isn't brothers who's asking for lessons like this more so than our sisters. Okay, our sisters are trying to wonder, what is this spirit that they know exists but cannot identify? Because it's making them look bad and they're not really the bad ones. It's not, they want to do right, but they can identify what this spirit is. And by us highlighting this, now we can get rid of this Jezebel spirit. Our sisters can. They can fight and overcome the ideology and the mindset of feminism that have actually moved them, you understand, away from God and away from her man. Okay, so I really want to focus on getting this and highlighting this and not just go to the cause and throw it left someplace, right? Because we really want to focus on this particular spirit so that sisters are able to overcome it, right? All right, Elder Lawyer. Now, there's other, now with Jezebel comes another spirit that comes in. And this spirit is a spirit of seduction or succubus. I need you to look at your screens. Right? Let me get it here. Let me get it. And I don't have to go into them real quick. Let me move them out of the way here. Let me move that out of the way. And let's go here. Look at your screen. Here's another spirit that we must overcome and is not aware of. And this particular spirit, brothers and sisters, works with the spirit of Jezebel against men. The name? The spirit succubus. That's right, brothers and sisters. And we giving out all the hidden secrets that Satan used against men today. So you brothers, hey, take note. Take note. And no better day than Halloween. Let's go.
Women. You can't live with them, and you can't live without them. Unless they're a seductive demoness who literally wants to drain the life out of you, because in that case I think you can be excused for wanting to stay away. For those thinking this sounds awfully familiar, no, we are not talking about your ex-wife nor your ex-girlfriend. Today's video is on the succubus, or the succubi, if you want to refer to them collectively. When we think of a succubus, there are several things that come to mind. The more traditional among you will think of a demon that seduces men. Nowadays we just think of them as attractive women, and someone who has merely searched succubus into Google Images will probably think it's some kind of weird fetish. And it probably is. Some of you may even remember that train wreck of a movie that was Jennifer's Body, where Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried make out, and then Megan Fox is like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat that boy you like."
No, this is too heinous. This is too heinous, folks. It was sent to me, but I didn't know they was going there. But nah, I can't do this. We'll stick with the scriptures. But anyway, succubus is a spirit of what it does is it overtakes a woman and it leads her to break every barrier, sexually and otherwise. And by doing so, it empowers her. Okay, how does it empower her? She finds the secrets and vulnerability of every man and woman to utilize for her specific purpose. Her ultimate purpose, she'll sleep with a woman, she'll do whatever the case is to go against a man, to destroy a man. And that's the spirit of succubus. Now we can identify that works in tandem with Jezebel. Like for instance, And it happens in our community where there's women with children, brothers and sisters, who end up after having children. So she loves men. She has no problem with the man, but now she's lesbian. You know she likes man. But why did she link in with a woman who loved women? Well, succubus came in through that emotion when she was hurt. She needed to align herself against a man. So she had to get with another woman that hates man. So their full objective isn't to raise a family under the Spirit of God. It's to align themselves to conspire against men. And succubus comes in with that seductive spirit. Okay? It comes in. Any which way she can use her body to get back, she will. We have Jezebel and we have succubus. They work in tandem against men. Folks, brothers and sisters, let me tell you, the devil has no rules. See, but what happens when sisters compromise themselves, eventually they lose themselves. One compromise to the next. Now, of course, at the end of this, we're going to show you how to redeem yourself, how to get yourself back. Because there was a concentrated effort, and there is a concentrated effort on messing up our little girls and turning them into Jezebel, succubuses. And then have the men. So now the man complain, and it's a back and forth in which we fight each other while the enemy looks to destroy us all. Now, let's go, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
In the church, it spoke of the spirit of Jezebel. And how does this link with succubus, one might ask? Well, the Jezebel of the Old Testament was willing to use anything, including her body. It doesn't matter who she will align herself with, just to destroy the black man, Judah, the prophets. If she had to use her body, she'll use it. Anything to align herself or bring or to recruit others in her plan against the prophets. It'll get to a degree in which she'll speak to people privately, and men will be up front speaking, but it's her in the background utilizing that man. Again, for those who've just come in, her key objective is to orchestrate heresy against the men of God by recruiting men as her infantry to carry out her war. And at the end game, to stop or even kill the prophets of Israel. Elder Lawyer, let's get the book of Revelation.
Yes, sir.
Now, another thing is, and this is why we linked it up, and it's the irony of us teaching this on Halloween. She also lives in her alter ego. The real little girl who grew up naturally and just was confident in herself and not insecure and wasn't insecure concerning her natural beauty. That girl had been compartmentalized and put away. And every day she walks around in her alter ego, in a mask, in a costume, hiding her. Who is taken over? Jezebel, succubus. She'll look at herself in the mirror and say, it's not good enough. But then she'll look at herself in the mirror after doing things to herself and say, well, I love being this way because when I'm this way, men are attracted to me. I get more looks. When I walk around regular, I don't get people looking at me the way they do when I'm in a costume. That's the spirit of Jezebel and succubus. It's called seduction. It's called seduction. So because of the insecurities, you would begin to believe, well, this is normal. And each day, kill the little girl without doing what? Instilling and empowering that little girl to be confident in how God made her. You lose that little girl. You kill that little girl every day by presenting to this earth an alter ego. All right? Now, let me show you an example of alter egos real quick. Let me give an example of an alter ego. All right? Let me give you an example. Now, there's the devil, Halloween, but we're going to get this out of the way. That's succubus, because at the end of it, that's how they want you to be in hell. That's your last stage right there. Sucking the blood of people. Halloween. But here's a bunch of women with alter egos. They don't really look like this, folks. Look. They don't really look like this. These are alter egos. And look who they are attacking. The prophets. Look at this. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. It's an alter ego. It's magic. It's sorcery. It's all of the above. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Now, but the churches would teach of this spirit of Jezebel. So you can't say it's an Old Testament thing. It's not an Israelite woman thing. Well, why did Christ, through the angels, warn the prophets, warn the disciples and the churches of this spirit? Let's go there in the book of Revelation.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 2, verse number 20.
Yes.
Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants.
To do what?
To teach and to seduce my servants.
So when you don't talk about this spirit, Christ has a problem with that. There was a church during the old churches, under the 7 churches, that was allowing this spirit to fester, the spirit to destroy prophets and to cause heresy. There was a church that was allowing Jezebel to operate. Read it again, where Christ said, I got a problem with you. Because the way she worked, you're not supposed to identify her. Because if you say something against her, you're a misogynist. You hate women. You're bashing women. See? This is the ways that they can absolve themselves from correction. So there was a church that wasn't actually going at Jezebel, the spirit of Jezebel, that would eventually fracture and just split the whole thing. Read it again.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 2, verse 20.
Yes.
Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess.
A prophetess. So this is the woman that would say, well, hold up. I only see men teaching around here. Where are the women teachers? You know I was a prophetess. Nah, you supposed to sit down and learn how to be a daughter of Zion righteously by men. What you're looking for is what you've been taught under the Babylonian confusion we see here called churches. But in the Old Testament, these were what? Temples to Baal, where the women were exalted. Those are the Christian churches you see today. So you get weird when you look at us and say, well, I see men, where the women? The women are where they're supposed to be, behind their men. Women are all out front in the Christian church. And look at the confusion going on there. So her first spirit, her first objective is to gain a position of authority, like Jezebel did by marrying a king. See? So they want to be recognized in an authority position for an objective. Read.
It says, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants.
This is the woman who will come before you. Hey, shalom, brothers and sisters. All praises to Ahia. Like, hold up, sis. Where's the man? Hi, brothers and sisters, and let me first go on and all that. And all. You think that teachers and you think that we don't have wives? There's a reason why you don't see wives. Mm-hmm. A sister called me the other day and asked, and you know, I'm not going to give out her name, but she's called from the Pennsylvania area and was really inquisitive of the church and saying, I've never heard this information taught like you teach it, but I have one problem. Where's the women? And I'm like, that's a good question, sister, because I understood she didn't mean any harm from it. That's what she used to dealing with in the Christian church. But then I asked her, sister, I need you to tell me, what was Peter's wife's name? I'm like, you know Peter had a wife, right? And she says, that's interesting. I'm like, that is very interesting. Christ set up Peter, not Peter's wife. You're looking in the wrong place for women in authority. Women in authority in the church is Jezebel. Okay? But we've been taught under this confusing churches, which were set up by Jezebel in the Old Testament for those who just came in late, where women would have positions as prophetesses. So when you hear a woman with the title of prophetess, automatically you will move that prophetess out of the way and you put Jezebel there. That's who she is. That's the spirit who rules her. If you see a woman, oh yeah, I'm down with the brothers. It's just that I just want them to do right by Ahia. And I just want them to be right in God. Yeah, I just got one thing. They just got to get it together. Jezebel. Okay? Jezebel. Read it, Elder Lawyer.
Revelation chapter 2, verse number 20. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants.
So any woman would have a problem with the way we have it set up according to the Bible. You won't find them amongst us. You'll find them on the outside talking about us. And we want to have it so. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. That's how we want it. That's perfect. You won't find that amongst us. You'll find them separated from us, talking about us. Perfect. Because we're following Christ. We're following the script he gave to the disciples. That we're not going to suffer Jezebel to just come through as if, because she's an Israelite woman, to be amongst running amok. Read it.
To teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols.
Now, to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed to idols. Now, that fornication is physical, but it's also spiritual fornication. To align oneself with the rituals of Baal, the celebrations and all that of Baal. See? So, how do we identify Jezebel? She uphold, you got it, the holidays of Satan. That's Baal, that's Jezebel. But spiritual fornication is when we align ourselves with paganism. So they'll use the spirit of Jezebel to do what? To enforce and instill the traditions of Baal from one generation to the next through holidays. Dressing up their children. Get ready. We're going out. Now she can be as nice as pie. She can be as nice as pie. Great neighbor. Got it going on and all that as far as how she take care of home and all that. But she's tainted with the ideology of Babylon, of Jezebel, by dressing her child up and go out and get some candy. By getting things prepared as Big Mama for Thanksgiving. Getting things prepared as Big Mama for Christmas. These are Jezebels. When you have a whole society ran by a matriarchy, you're backward. Okay, you're backward. And the bottom line, when it comes to backwardness, I don't care how fast Bolt is. Okay, and he's fast. I bet you I can beat him in a race if he was running backward. So you wonder why we cannot progress as a nation together. Well, we cannot have the man running backward, neither can we have the woman running backward. It's about putting it in order. And in order to put this thing in order, we must put down the spirit of Jezebel amongst our people, because her key objective is to destroy the prophets. Even if she don't know that. Even if she's doing it under an ideology unknowingly, we must stop it. We must stop her. She's dangerous. Spiritual fornication. Let's give you an example how our sisters, daughters of Zion, began to be used as Jezebel amongst our families. Well after Jezebel was gone. Right? Elder Lawyer, let's get Jeremiah 7 and 18 and Jeremiah 44.
Jeremiah chapter 7 verse number 18. The children gather wood and the fathers kindle the fire.
The children gather wood and the father kindleth the fire. That means the man has been totally made subservient by his woman. It's going to show you that. The children are getting all ready. The father done chopped the wood to do what? To make his house happy. Happy wife, happy life. But you cannot make her happy if you don't celebrate her traditions. You better be on point for Valentine's Day. You better be on point for Thanksgiving. And you better doubly be on point for Christmas. But according to the Bible, these actions for tradition is spiritual fornication led by Jezebel. Read it.
The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
To make cakes to who?
And to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
To make cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
And to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger.
That they may provoke the God of Israel to anger. They're getting the cakes ready and the food ready and all that to serve another God. Spiritual fornication, Jezebel. So one of the greatest oppositions, especially this time of year, for a brother in the truth, is a woman who will not go for him changing their family traditions from pagan to righteousness. The Bible. She would very well divorce him and find another that she can make into a weakling. Why? Because these holidays empower women with the spirit of Jezebel to keep the man in subjection. It's a tool. I need you to make me feel you're worth me. From one Christmas to the next, show your worth. Okay? It's succubus. It's taking the soul of man and making him feel less than if he does not meet her requirements. When man was meant, he was born, was made to meet God's requirement. That's why man was made. A woman was made to meet our requirements. That's a help meet. So Satan, through Jezebel and the ideology, turned the whole thing upside down, where it's man doing all this to be accepted by his woman. And that's why there's such a fight against what the Israelites are dealing with. Oh, it's a cult because he won't allow me to be free. It's abuse because I can't celebrate Christmas or Easter. That's abuse. That's cultish. Everybody else is doing it. Jeremiah 44 and 17.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 44, verse number 17. But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven.
To burn incense to the Queen of Heaven. More rituals to Baal, the spirit of Jezebel. Read.
And to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes in the cities of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem.
Come on.
For then had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil.
Let's get where it says the women will do whatever they want.
Jumping down to verse 19.
Read.
And when we burnt incense to the Queen of Heaven.
When we burnt incense to the Queen of Heaven.
And poured out drink offerings unto her.
That's Christmas. That's the holy days in America that they call holidays in the Western world. Read.
Did we make her cakes to worship her and pour out drink offerings unto her without our men?
Without our men. It's a matriarchal, controlled holiday. And if the man don't do it, we'll put him out and do it without him. The Bible, spirit of Jezebel. This is why they don't want you to read the Bible. And I'm speaking of the powers that be. The holy days is the craft they use to keep the prophets, the men, in subjection to the women. It's a craft. It's sorcery. And this is why they've packaged Christmas and all that to endear what? To actually exalt the women. That a man would have to work according to her acceptance. And that ideology was capsulated and placed into a total program sold to us as tradition, with the women at the helm. My man, a good man, this is what he got me for Christmas. I mean, look at all that he worked and did, and now he's acceptable. And he's sitting there, you know what? And it's prideful. There's a thing a man has pride to know that he's able to take care of his family. But they move that whole thing under the spirit of a prophetess, under the spirit of what? Being simped out under a woman. I'm just gonna put it the way it is, in terms that this generation today can understand. When a man finds that he's a prophet, he's a teacher, he's a man of God, he ought to go there and they present the Bible to his wife, who claimed that she believed in the Bible, without resistance, and put down Baal or Satan. But why can't she? The spirit of Jezebel. I'm going to tell you like it is. Men have all the power. You're supposed to have the power according to the Almighty, because dominion was given to man and woman was taken from man to be a helpmeet for his dominion, his vision. That's why a woman was made, for no other reason. For no other reason. So a woman is supposed to meet the criteria of the man she was made from. Men tell you over and over again, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. And you have a woman like, accept me like this is what, and I was abused and this is why I'm like that. No, I don't like that. Okay? You must now do what? You got it. You must now take all of what you thought was right and make it right for that man. That's what you must do. You were made for him. That's it. And people might think, oh my God, this is abuse. Nah, it's abuse if you're Jezebel. You cannot want a traditional man to be all that God made him, and you're the exact opposite when it comes to your purpose as a woman. That doesn't make any sense. Submit. Jezebel hates that word. Submit, man, you ain't worth it. You got to do something for me to submit. Okay. Well, let me get the scripture on Jezebel, where the Most High let the dogs out on her. You're out there by yourself and the dogs will tear you apart. Now, more. So what empowers her traditionally from one year to the next is the fact that eventually she will be the matriarchal queen over the family, to instill the traditions of Satan and Jezebel from year to year through the holidays. That's what empowers her to one day to become, at the end of her life, Big Mama. Big Mama is Jezebel. Okay? Now, let's go to Proverbs, Elder Lawyer, the 7th chapter. So let's see some of the wiles, what's utilized. Some of the tools that's used by Jezebel.
Sir, Proverbs chapter 7.
Let's start at the first verse. That's fine.
Yes, sir. Proverbs chapter 7, verse number 1.
Yeah.
My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye.
That's what the Most High, when the Most High wrote the scriptures, he would write directly to the men. My son, keep my what?
My son, keep my words.
Now, is it against women? No, because the women were meant to learn from the men. So what happens is women get educated and get some prestige or position in this society and believe that's equal to, or now it levels them on the level of a man. It doesn't. Your education means nothing if it don't align with God's plan for you. The wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. You could take the PhD and the bachelor's or whatever and understand that it's not worth anything to God. If you're not the woman you're supposed to be in this earth, made to be a helpmeet to a man, your education means nothing if you can't help your man with it. And at the end, he gets the glory. And through him, God gets the glory. Huh? Because guess what? A virtuous woman would actually find honor in seeing her work and her husband recognized. That's where our honor comes. It's not about who I am. It's about my position with God according to what he made him to be, and the fact that I can help him with that. I'm totally content with that, because this is why I was made. The Western world totally have reversed that around backward. Okay? So now let's go into the attributes, or what you would say the tools Jezebel uses. So the Most High said, son, I'm going to give you some wisdom. I'm going to give you some wisdom here. Let me turn this off here. I tell you.
I didn't get that.
Hold on. Let me turn this off. 1 second. Right now, I think my mother's listening to this live while I'm teaching, and she's like, "Oh, it's boy, this is some deep information here." That's my mother texting. Anyway, let's go.
Yes, sir. Proverbs chapter 7, verse number 1.
Yeah.
My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye.
So for men, it's our position to keep God's law as the apple of our eye. You're striving for success. This is what a successful man is. Not according to this world, according to the assets you can accumulate according to success of this world. Okay? Like Bill Gates, he had all the money. He's a success in this world. But he's a satanic failure when it comes to what God expects from man. See? You get the difference? Right? So he says, listen, focus on my law. I'll give you everything else. Be right according to my law. Read.
Verse number 3.
Yeah.
Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words.
From the what?
That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words.
So that what?
that they may keep thee from the strange woman,
from the strange woman,
from the stranger which flattereth with her words.
a woman that flattereth with her words. These are strange women. Who have forced this masquerade upon men. Okay? And I think the irony of this is that we're talking about this on Halloween. This is the strange woman the Most High says we must watch for. And now, through the Asians coming in our neighborhoods and others, and through the East Indians who have made their witchcraft hair and all that, they have made the strange woman the norm to pick from within our society on purpose. You don't find this anywhere amongst other cultures, where they would concentrate on turning our women into strange women. And now men are saying, you know what? You can think someone wants that if you want, but don't get mad if you don't get your desired outcome. I hear it all. You going with this person, you doing that, and you hate women. Nah. Black men love black women, but black men hate the strange woman. And it's too many times we're talking about men and not going into the fact that you're trying to serve up something to men that men don't want. When a man say one time, listen. And the example I can give real quick, and going into the strange woman of Jezebel, is that a woman, when she has a husband, she may do certain things to spice things up, but that's private. She may wear lingerie, or she may put on a wig tonight or whatever, but that's private. That's something okay. She letting her hair down. She's putting on that alter ego, okay, for you in the privacy of your home. But suppose she was to walk outside every day like that. Right? It would seem what? Crazy. Because that wasn't meant for out there. You're not supposed to have the alter ego out there. If you're going to spice things up for your husband, that's one thing. But to be outside with someone else's everything on, walking as normal, when it used to be growing up, traditionally, it used to be a woman would put on a wig or something, or put on something to spice up her relationship with her husband. And then she would put that stuff back in the closet and be herself. That's what men loved. They didn't want to see that in the bedroom every day, outside, all around. They didn't want that. And men are saying it over and over again, and no one's listening. No one's listening. So now men are saying, well, I'll tell you what, we're not going for it no more. Okay? We're trying every other way to say it without offending you, but it's like a possession. It's like not a possession like I own this cup. It's like something went in and said, you're going to accept me the way, this is me now. Look at me, the strange woman. Oh, you just don't like black women. No, we don't like the strange woman, but it's too many times brothers try to break it down, but couldn't go into the scriptures to articulate it. And that's what I'm doing today. Because no one can identify the spirit of Jezebel where women wear masks and suits all day and think it's normal. No, we want that little girl. We want that girl with her regular hair and the time that it takes for her to nurture her hair and grow her hair and put the spirit into her curls and have her natural beauty and take her hair. If she wanted laid down, she can lay it down. If she want to curl it, she can curl it. That's what a man always wanted. When she was a little girl with the little pigtails, and she grew up and she had a little bang hair, and she every other day it was a different style, but it was hers. That's what a man wanted, because she wasn't the strange woman then. So Jezebel, the spirit of Jezebel will come. Alopecia. No, alopecia came because you did that. You became the strange woman, and now alopecia set in. Satan is trying to destroy your head. He's trying to destroy your crown. It's all the spirit of Jezebel, brothers and sisters. But we couldn't articulate it. People couldn't say, well, what is that spirit that women, even though men are telling women the truth, that they don't want to accept it? It's sheer disobedience. Let's go read it.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 7, verse number 6.
Yes.
It says here, "For at the window of my house I looked through my casement."
It says, through the window of my house, I looked through my casement. Yes, right. In the Bible, we had window panes, windows that we can actually pull up and all that. It's reading of in the Bible. So I looked outside my window and witnessed what?
Verse 7, "And beheld among the simple ones."
Among the what?
"And beheld among the simple ones."
Among the simple ones.
"I discerned among them the youths," or "I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding."
A young man void of understanding. He looked out the window and said, listen, these young boys are losing it. They don't understand. If they don't come back to God's law and stand in their power, succubus and Jezebel is going to run their life into the ground and utterly destroy them. There's one thing about a man of God, a man to believe in the Bible. He's not going to accept Jezebel at all. But a simple man, oh yeah, look, she got a, man, look at her, she got a big butt, she got a butt. What? Where women would think that that's all she would need to please a man or to satisfy a man, when the majority of the time that you would spend with a woman is outside of the bedroom. The majority of the time that you will spend with a woman has nothing to do with sex. But a simple man, he'll look at her butt. And a woman be like, well, okay, that's all I got. Yeah, butt. See? Being totally moved through a shape. Simple. That's the Bible. Where a woman thinks that all she need to do, even though she'll look at herself and be like, yeah, I need to eat. Because they like butts. Where's the Bible? Where's the understanding? Where's the wisdom? Where's the love according to God? Where you would just sit there eating all types of stuff so you can grow a butt. Simple. You'll even get sick. You'll get to the point where you cannot even move. You sweating all up under the hair. You sweating. You over all that, thinking that because some simple man, thinking you need to do that because some simple man is attracted to you. Read.
Verse 7. "And beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding.
Gone.
Passing through the streets near her corner, and he went the way to her house."
So he went around the corner and he went to her house. Right? Whose house? Now this is the Bible here. And you know what? The Most High through the Bible is actually quantifying what goes on within the Israelite community. It can go either way. You can have a woman with a young girl, and a lot of you will laugh, with no place to go but the corner store. But you know that the person that you want to see you is hanging on a corner. So you'll spend 30, 40 minutes in the mirror getting ready strictly to go to the corner store to capture someone. And act like you're just, just coincidentally just going there to grab something. And you know that it's calculated. You have a calculated plan on who you want to capture looks from. That's right. We're pulling it all out. Every last bit of it. Sister, you ain't hiding nothing anymore. So it's both ways. Finish reading.
Yes, sir. Verse 8, passing through the streets near her corner, and he went the way to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night.
That means while he think everyone is asleep, read.
And behold, there he met him a woman with the attire of an harlot.
With the attire of what?
And there he met a woman with the attire of an harlot.
With an attire of an harlot. See how women are dressed? The Bible describes that as the attire, the uniform of a whore, a harlot. So you think showing your butt and all that is fashion because everyone else had the same fashion? God is saying harlot, harlot, harlot. And then if you get in a relationship and produce something from that, you'll begin to blame the man and all that. He was like, well, no. You know what it was? This was a sexual exchange. We didn't discuss legacy, family, the God we serve. So don't come back now and saying, I'm young and dumb, I did this, I did that. No. If you dress, I'm going to tell you right now, sisters, if you dress a certain type of way and a young man is looking at you, he's only looking at you for one thing. Now, you can go along with it, but be willing to deal with the consequences. Be willing to deal with what comes from that action and not blame men for it. Without blaming men for it. Because it was an exchange. You got satisfaction and he got satisfaction and God wasn't in the mix. So don't come back later and try to say these men ain't nothing. Because there's men, according to the Bible, who does exactly this. And you choose those men. Mm-hmm. Okay? The Bible identifies. It flies. You can't blame a man after the fact. It was an exchange. You got something out of the deal, and he got something out of the deal. But that's the exchange. Y'all didn't sit down and say, well, let's talk about the God, our legacy. What legacy we're going to leave for our children? What is a long-term plan for my family? Is marriage in the discussion? All that. See? Come on.
Verse 10, and behold, there he met a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart.
Read.
Verse 11, she is loud and stubborn.
She's what?
She is loud and stubborn.
She is what? Hold up now. She is what?
She is loud and stubborn.
Not only do she have the attire of a harlot, she's loud and stubborn. You see what Ice Cube went through? No one could identify with the Bible what was going on with Ice Cube here. I'm like, you know what? I'm going into the Bible and break down this spirit of Jezebel so people can't think that I got a problem with black women. No, black women are the most beautiful, strongest, have endured more than any other woman on earth, and that cannot be denied. So by me actually stating that as fact, I cannot deny that this exists also. Because the women that are right isn't the problem. These women are the problem. And it's time that women separate themselves from them so that they don't have to say, not all us. It's not all us. Well, if you dress like them and act like them, you're going to get mixed up in the mix. The Bible identifies these women are crazy. Okay? And I'm going to just hit it, tell you like it is. Succubus and Jezebel are wounded up and used by the system against us. And the Bible identifies this spirit. And guess what? They're relentless. And one of their greatest tactics is to shame those who identify them into silence. To shame you to a degree that you can't identify the wickedness that comes from Jezebel and succubus. Read it again, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Starting at verse 10, and behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot.
The attire of a harlot.
And subtle of heart.
Subtle of heart.
She is loud and stubborn.
Loud and stubborn. That means she can be in the supermarket, cursing everyone out right there in the supermarket, and no one is surprised. Mm-hmm. No one is seeing that as abnormal. You're supposed to just let this be and not identify it. She can curse you out in the street with no shame, and you're not supposed to speak against it, because if you do that, you're bashing women. Mm-hmm. Far too long we've allowed this spirit to operate, and now it's saying, well, you've allowed us, we're coming after you now. We're Jezebel in full battle gear. And if you've allowed us this long, now it's time for us to go for the death kill. Y'all gonna have to go into a mountain somewhere and escape, because Jezebel is on the prowl. They've been waging war against the black man for years, and no one could say anything. But no longer, no. With the word of God, we're fighting back. If we can take down Esau and the synagogue of Satan, we definitely need to bag Jezebel. Okay? Finish reading.
She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house.
And her feet abide not in her house. She's all over the place. She's there to correct this and talk about that, but yet her house isn't straight. Every time you look, this woman is in everyone else's business. The Bible is identifying the spirit of Jezebel, folks. Read on.
Verse 12.
And the first thing you ask is, with all this information and all this articulation and being able to observe and break it down according to, I've always had the spirit of discernment, where's your husband? And you'll hear crickets. With all this discernment and power you have no husband? No, because you all up in everybody else's business when you should be in subjection, taking care of your home with a man, bringing forth legacy. And because you've let succubus and Jezebel rule your life, misery loves company, and you're looking to go house to house to destroy other women and give young girls the wrong advice. The best advice a woman can give is the example of her life as a virtuous woman and what a submissive wife. That's the best lesson a woman can give young women. Not teaching a woman to live through fear. All men ain't nothing. You better do something to make sure you have a fallback plan, because men gonna leave you out there. She's talking about her. House to house, spreading misery. Okay? Straight out. And no one is identified. I'm reading out of the Bible. Y'all want scriptures, right? Because her life became misery. She teaches misery so that now she'll have company as she grow old alone. Finish reading.
It says, verse 12, now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner.
Come on.
So she caught him, and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me this day, I have paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt.
Listen, I have satin bed sheets. She got the whole thing laid out. Read.
Verse 17. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon.
Don't I smell good? Read.
Verse 18. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the goodman is not at home. He is gone on a long journey.
Look at that. She'll have a man. Guess what? He's going on a journey. He's not around. Let me look through this Tinder app and see what I can get happening real quick. Right? Everything good?
Yes, sir. Just make sure. Someone said it was frozen. So just making sure.
Everything good? It's good. Okay, cool. It's a computer. Finish reading.
Yes, sir. Verse 16. I've decked my bed with coverings of tapestry and with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I've perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with love. For the goodman is not at home. He is gone on a long journey.
Go on.
He hath taken a bag of money with him and will come home at the day appointed.
I know exactly when he's coming home. Let's get it in. Okay. Who does this sound like? Where you left off at, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Verse 21. With her much fair speech, she calls him to yield. With flattering of her lips.
With the flattering of her lips. You see how they do those social, what they call those lips they do. When they kissing and all that on Instagram. I forgot what they call that.
It was like puckering or something like that.
Yeah, where they pucker their lips out and take pictures. What they call that with their lips?
You mean the pose they be doing?
The pose they be doing with their lips out like Donald Duck. What's that?
I don't know what it's called. I know what you're talking about, though.
Every woman is taking pictures with their lips puckered out on Instagram. It's in the Bible. Read.
Verse 21.
Yeah, and then their eyelashes are so long. They hit the door. When you go open the door, the lashes hit the door 2 minutes before she get there. The eyelashes are so long. It's like they got like two big wings on their eyes, and you're looking at them like, I know she don't think this is cute. And I remember when women used to have the small ones just to fill in, that just have a little more eyelash. And they used to put it on their eyelash. You couldn't recognize it because it was just to fill in if women had, had shallow eyelashes. Now they got full umbrellas on their eyes. And you're looking at these young girls and they swear it looks good. And the young guys they talk to really don't care, because those young guys only want one thing. And they're not even going to be looking at your face anyway. But when you're sitting there with all this succubus and Jezebel stuff on, men are just looking. A man won't say anything, but a man that has any tact or value to himself in his mind saying, okay, succubus, she's crazy. Finish reading.
It says here, with her fair speech she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips she forced him. He goeth after her straightway as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks. Till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life.
He don't even know that the choices he's making is for his life, to lose his soul. He think it's just a get together. Folks, real story. There's a brother that I grew up with, went to school with. We played basketball. We played football. Folks, we fought each other. Well, I mean, you talk about we grew up in the same neighborhood. He was Muslim, I was Christian, but you know, we all grew up in the same neighborhood. Not too long ago, I get a call. I'm like, what happened? The brother have to be about 1 year. He's 1 year younger than myself. He met a girl on Tinder, West Philadelphia. Seen her more than once, not realizing that she was a part of some type of, she was messing around with dope guys and all that. And guess what happened? He go to a store thinking that he's texting to meet her, and someone else sees the phone after he was messing with her. Met him there. And guess what happened? 40 bullets. A girl he was normally messing around with through these social networks and all that, hooked up with before, and now because he hooked up, didn't know that when he the next time he go there will be his last day, his last breath taken. When I got the info, I was like, man. Of course, my heart fell. It was, when someone you grew up with, you know what I mean, went over his house. His mother cooked for me. My mother cooked for his family. Man, my heart dropped. Older guy, but he liked young girls. And they was all on these networks. It's right here. You don't know that bed of Jezebel, that bed of the succubus, leads to hell. Because women like this, guess what? They have no morals. If it happened to him, it probably happened to a guy before him, and she'll take that as a badge of honor that she got brothers out there that's willing to die for her or kill for her. That's the real deal, and you know that exists in our neighborhoods, folks. Mm-hmm. We have to stop hiding this. We have to stop hiding this. Finish reading. We being straight out. Because when you try to identify this, so many people claim you're a misogynist, you're this, that, and the other, not realizing the irreparable damage that's going on for us allowing this to happen without identifying this. And the prophets and teachers have to highlight this because our daughters are within the crosshairs. They're targeting for the next generation of succubus and Jezebels. Let's finish reading.
Verse 24. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths.
Don't listen to her. Don't listen to her. Now, you young girls, young sisters in the church and all that who's listening to this, you might say, well, the guys aren't going to like me. They're not going to say much to me if I don't. Look what I have to compete with. This is why I'm putting succubus on and Jezebel on, to compete. Sisters, you don't want to be in that race.
That's right.
You don't have to be in that race, because if you hold yourself pure, a real man will compete for you. You don't have to compete with these women, because these women out there, they're willing to go to the depths of hell and shame themselves for a person. And you don't want to lower your values to that depth. You can't win that game. You hold yourself pure and righteous and virtuous according to the Most High, and good men will compete for you. You can't win this game of competing with all these women. Why? Because there's way more women than there is men. Okay, so the competition is stiff to where women willing to go to the depths of immorality and shame themselves just to get someone to sleep with them. You don't want to be there. You want to be that woman that stands out without the eyelashes, without the fake aesthetics, without the lace fronts, without the hair. You want to be that woman that everyone look at and say, you know what? This is how God made her. And that's the woman good men compete for. The other women, the competition women, these are the women men sleep with and leave. In the world. Are they dead wrong for it? Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have power in your choices, sisters. You don't have, just because your aunts did it a certain type of way, even if it was your mother that did it a certain type of way, you can change the course. You can break the curse of our women. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Let not thy heart decline to her ways, go not astray in her paths. For she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her.
Many strong men have been slain by her.
Her house is the way to hell.
Her house is the way to hell.
Going down to the chambers of death.
Going down to the chambers of death. That's her overall plan for you. And she's willing to look the part, have the drop dead body, to have you enter the gateway to hell. Folks, we'll have a few more. Proverbs 5:3, then I'm opening up the lines. Proverbs 5:3.
Proverbs chapter 5, verse number 3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil.
Her mouth is smoother than oil. Read. She'll say all the right things. But this is how you, folks, but just like with any person, man or woman, you know exactly what you're dealing with in a time of what? Conflict. When things aren't going the way one would think it should go, when there's a disagreement, is when you really know who you have aligned yourself with. When everything is well, you don't know until there's a disagreement. You'd be like, whoa, is this how you deal with conflict? Because in a marriage, husband and wife, they're going to be a lot of ups and downs. Everything is not going to always go right. And you have to know that you have an even-keeled, rational, sane person to discuss situations with without it becoming a fight. So this is when, the courting periods and all that, both sides are just showing their best front. But as soon as there's a disagreement or something happens, that's when you know who you've actually been courting or you're with. How they deal with conflict. Because that's what relationships are. Relationships is hurdling and accomplishing and overcoming conflict after conflict until perfection. The conflict should be the world. It shouldn't be when y'all disagree, y'all fighting each other. Y'all overcoming the conflict of the world. But when there's a disagreement or an impasse, when you see how someone deal with that, you'll know, oh, okay, there's no way we'll be able to accomplish our objectives for legacy like that. No way. That's how you know. That's how you know. But we're so busy under the flesh, going after the flesh first. And then afterwards, we come back and be like, and have a conversation and be like, what is this? No, the conversations must be had first righteously. And the objectives, according to the Almighty, must be laid out first. Because succubus and Jezebel, when you bring in the Most High, they don't like that. They kill prophets. They go look for the next simp. They out and they go and simp hunting. Okay, this guy will be able to see right through me. I'm out of here. Okay? Now, finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Proverbs chapter 5, verse number 4. Or start at verse 3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil.
And her mouth is smoother than oil. Read.
But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them.
So she's calculating. She'll make you think that all things are just, happenstance. But every move she make has been thought out. Calculating. Brothers, get your pen and pads. Write it down. We've been born into a war. We're not just battling Esau. We're battling the spirit of Jezebel and succubus. And when we overcome that spirit and she's baptized and received this new spirit, now she's taught virtue, helpmeet, how to finish the legacy. Finish reading.
Verse 7. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her.
Remove what?
Remove thy way far from her.
Remove thy way far from her.
And come not nigh the door of her house.
And don't come to the door of her house, read.
Lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. Verse 11.
That means you've worked your whole time. And all your work is now going into a house of the stranger. You have gone on with another relationship and all that. But guess what? You have to pay her until what you made turns 18. Folks. And you have women in the hood and all that, whose full objective is to do what? Level up by getting a man getting pregnant on purpose, just so that she can. It's not even about him leaving. And because he left, child support. No. You have a brother and sister living in the same house. He's bringing in a check. And child support is already being taken out, going directly to the woman, and they're living together. This is happening, folks. How crazy is that? Where you haven't even parted. You get pregnant to have a baby, and the first move is to go to WIC in the family court. Because this is how mama is telling her, this is how we do it. This is how it goes. You go to WIC and get your deli rations for the baby. Make sure you go down there and get that. And then you make sure you go to child support to make sure that money is coming where you need it to come. Not the man bringing home the victuals and bringing home, you know, how he used to traditionally. That's happening, folks, and no one is calling it out. Read.
Verse 11. And thou mourn at the last when thy flesh and thy body are consumed, and say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well.
Now, folks, I have to highlight this because these daughters have grown up being reared by Satan, Jezebels and succubuses. And now they've been put over authoritative positions. Black Lives Matter, this area, this particular organization. These crazy witches now that have been created through this satanic system are now being used not just against us, but as total anarchy against all that's right and traditional according to God's word. These women hate God. Now you see why Jezebel wanted to kill the prophets and the prophets had to flee and Obadiah had to hide the prophets in cages, because the only people who can identify this spirit are the prophets of this Bible. And this is why all of them hate Israelites, the majority of them. Because the first thing we do as men is begin to take our power back, including the power Satan gave to our women. So we're not just taking Esau's kingdom down. No, any power women have that belongs to us, we're taking it. Because it doesn't belong to them. And at the end of the day, they're not happy carrying all this burden anyway. It's too much on them. They break, sisters break eventually. So the churches began to fix this. Elder Lawyer. Let's go to 1 Timothy 2 and 12.
First Timothy chapter 2, verse number 12.
Read.
But I suffer not a woman to teach.
Go back one verse.
Verse 11. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection.
So now the churches, when Christ set up the churches, it was in order for the church to progress to its height, the disciples had to set up a church that would keep the church intact by ridding it of the spirit of Jezebel, the spirit of succubus. So when women came to be baptized, they were repenting from that spirit they was raised up from and asking the Most High to deliver them from that spirit. Succubus, Jezebel, the alter ego. Read.
1 Timothy 2, verse 11. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man.
No prophetesses or women in the forefront claiming to be Israelite strong women. No, it's our time. For years, women been saying, well, I'm in this condition and I'm dealing with this because men won't step up. Men are stepping up now. Look at what happened with Ice Cube. To only have who oppose him. And I had to shake my head. When you get an opportunity, brothers and sisters, I need you to pull up the interview. And I think Esau is doing this on purpose. Where a white woman from Fox Financial is interviewing Ice Cube. Now it's clear Ice Cube just came out straight out through his tweets and all that to prove that he know he's an Israelite. They had a white woman from Fox Finance interview Ice Cube the day before yesterday. And look at the clear difference of the respect this white woman had for him publicly, opposed to the 4 black women whom he actually made the plan for. I think they did that on purpose to say, well, listen, we're not even going to set it up. We're going to have you, this white woman, interview Ice Cube. She had nothing but the uttermost respect for Ice Cube. And she was asking, what is it we can do with this plan? How do you want Trump to implement this plan? This is what this white woman was saying. She gave this brother nothing but respect. Matter of fact, hold on. I want y'all to see this real quick. And I'm not going to play the whole thing. I want you to see something. And I'm like, you know what? This is a darn shame. Fox Business, Ice Cube. Now look at this. I'm going to just show just a little bit of it. Fair use.